Welcome to Live, Let Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
Of Live,
Let
Thrive. What is up, Micah, man?
I am chilling. Stevie Stacks, how you doing?
Oh, good. Busy as hell as always. And, we're all grinding out here. I know you are, Micah.
Always.
And we have a special guest today on episode 156 of your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, short-term rental, real estate podcast in the world. And it is none other than the famous Eric Moeller.
The short-term rental legend.
That's right. Thank you for having me on here, guys. I'm loving the show, and Steve, I got to say, you have a perfect radio voice.
Well, thank you very much.
Absolutely
I work it out every day, 3 hours. You know how we do. It was this or flying airplanes through 30,000 feet, kick back.
I love
Anyways, yeah, so we're going to dive into it today. And what we're going to hit hard, because we got the man, the legend himself, is a very important thing in running a successful short-term business and growing a successful short-term business. And that is something Micah loves to talk about as well. It's called branding. We're going to go hit branding really hard today.
Let's do it.
So before we do that, can you tell us a little backstory about yourself? How'd you get into short-term rentals? And how'd that start?
Yeah. So, my story in real estate started at 18 years old. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. A teacher gave me Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And, from there got into investing into real estate. And right after high school, I bought my first ever investment property. And this was during the subprime days when they were just kind of giving mortgages out to anybody with a pulse. And they gave me, a 19-year-old kid, a mortgage, and I bought a short-term rental property. I bought a traditional vacation rental home in Wildwood, New Jersey. And kind of that was my introduction to real estate, my introduction to business, and introduction to short-term rentals. And this is way before Airbnb was even on the scene. We were renting this out on VRBO back in the day, Craigslist, just a lot of crazy stuff. But yeah, long story short, I turned that into a business with lots of ups and downs. I turned that into an investment business, buying and flipping many, many homes in New Jersey, apartment buildings. And I had gotten out of short-term rentals until about 6 years ago when I wanted to get out of the development world and create a business that's more, I can automate, that I can run pretty much from anywhere in the world. And that didn't need as much debt as I had. I had millions of dollars worth of mortgages and just wanted to get out of that space for a bit. And long story short, started traveling, going to different masterminds, and kind of stumbled into the whole Airbnb business the way everybody else did. Was rented one property in San Diego, put it up on Airbnb, doubled my rent. I was like, oh, I'm going to go do that again. And before I knew it, we grew a business here in San Diego very, very quickly. So, it seemed like overnight we scaled to about 60 units in San Diego through the short-term, through like arbitrage and the management model. And then before I got into the educational space very heavily, we scaled up to about 90 units through that model in San Diego, some in Colorado, some in Mexico, and kind of different parts of the country. So yeah, there's a lot to that, but that's essentially the 30,000 foot view of how I got into this space. Just like everybody else, kind of stumbled into it.
Question for you, because you touched on San Diego. Now, are you still in San Diego, and did you attend the conference today?
Oh yeah, great question. I did not attend the conference today. That was, man. San Diego's been battling these regulations for a very long time. So yes, I'm in San Diego. So I live in North County, which is called Encinitas.
Mm-hmm.
I actually exited my business, short-term rental business, about a year ago. So I exited because we knew that regulation was coming here in San Diego. I personally wanted to get out of the master lease model. Our educational business started growing really, really quick. So we put 100% of our effort into that. And that's where we're at today. And later in this year, we're launching our new short-term rental business, which I can touch on later. But yeah, San Diego is it's a tough day today for San Diego.
Yeah, I attended the online session, and man, it was tough. They're trying to ban up to 3,000 short-term rentals out there. I was like, dang, yeah. So
It's crazy.
definitely a tough market. So, one more question: do you still own, or are you just 100% management model?
Yeah, so I sold all of my, it's funny, when I exited my real estate business 6 years ago, I thought we were at the height of the market. And that's why I was like, I was watching real estate back in New Jersey. I'm like, hey, I think we're at the height of the market. Our profits were getting smaller and smaller on the homes that we're owning. So I exited that and just did the OPP model, other people's properties model, for a very long time. So now we're just in the management model and the educational space. But later this year, we're launching our new brand, which we're actually in the process now of raising funds for, where we're going to acquire land outside and inside national parks around the country and start developing tiny home communities, unique experience-based tiny home communities. So we're getting back in the game.
That's awesome. So what made you want to gravitate towards the educational field?
Yeah. So, like when I first started really scaling my business, I realized there was nothing out there teaching. I had nobody to go to understand how to run a short-term rental business at the scale that we were growing. And we were connecting with everybody, and we started noticing that everybody was running into the same problems, that there was no standards, there was no blueprint, no guideline. There was, a couple of, experts out there teaching the how to, but once you get past your first listing, there was really nothing there. So I just started sharing my journey online, and it picked up really quick. And then I recognized that there was a big need for it in our space. So I organized the Airbnb Mastery Summit years ago with some of the top experts I can find in the space. Put that on, and we had nearly 25,000 people attend that, which was insane. And that was a big aha for me that there was a big opportunity to create world-class education and really support our industry and moving forward. And it's been one of my biggest passions now is growing this company and creating the education, the events, and the coaching that we have. It's truly incredible.
And how'd you link up with our buddy Jasper from Get Paid for Your Pad?
Yeah, he's right behind the curtain, by the way.
He's running the whole show right behind the curtain.
Yeah. We just set up our new studio here. So we got our team building everything. Yeah. So through the Airbnb Mastery Summit. Yeah. So I read his book. Of course, I consumed everything. His was one of the first books. Started listening to the podcast. Started going on the blog. And then when I put on the Airbnb Mastery Summit, he was one of the first people I reached out to attend as a guest or as a speaker. And immediately he's like, hey, here's a course that I created. You can give it out for free. Here's this, here's that. And just started giving crazy value. And I'm like, hey, this is a guy I want to learn from. I want to connect with. And then that just kind of turned into a relationship. And about 2 years ago, we decided to put on the first ever Short-Term Rental Legends event, in-person mastermind down in Puerto Rico. So we organized that, flew down 25 ballers down to Puerto Rico, met for the first time in the airport in Puerto Rico, and held an event, and all else is history.
Yeah, it was just pure education and learning over there, right, in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it was just connecting. We put on the in-person live event for the different stages. I started getting to these stages in business where there was, again, no education and there was nobody that I can connect with. So we're like, hey, let's rent a dope house in Puerto Rico and fly down 25 short-term rental operators that we can learn from, and let's bring them value by connecting them with some incredible people. And we put that on. It was an incredible, experience. And that launched our mastermind, Legends, which we're still running to today.
So yeah, what's cool about that is you'll dabble in the digital nomad a little bit because y'all have your masterminds in other spots, and you can still run all your businesses from wherever you are in any part of the world.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun until COVID came and shut us down. But which we're kicking it back off. We're getting back into live events towards the end of this year, figuring out, hiring the companies we got to hire to figure out how to put on a safe event in, the COVID era. But we all miss events and this industry needs it. So we're going to be holding 2 live events later on in the year. But yeah, we miss traveling. But yeah, it was cool. We did one in Puerto Rico. We did one in Cartagena, Colombia. A couple of small events here in San Diego. But yeah, no. Now we're we're in San Diego. We're not leaving. We're got our studio. We got our office. Team is here. So we plan on just kind of getting to work here in San Diego.
They're roughing it in San Diego.
Yeah.
When's your guys' next mastermind?
So we SDR Legends, because of COVID, we switched to the online model, right? So we meet once a week. We have a group of 35 short-term rental operators from all around the world, from Australia to Iceland, Costa Rica, Mexico, and everywhere in between. And these are companies that are running. To enter the mastermind, you have to do $1 million or more on Airbnb or through your short-term rental business. Most companies are rated to 400 units. So we meet on a weekly basis through the mastermind. However, the live events that we're doing towards the year, probably July and November, will be part of that mastermind. So, and those will probably be here in the States.
Nice. So tell us about this new thing that you just launched. Y'all launched it today, or y'all started talking about it today, called Overnight Success.
Yeah. I feel like tossing a lot at you guys here today.
Toss away, man.
Yeah. So Overnight Success is we rebranded under Overnight Success. One thing that Jasper and I recognized over the last couple of years coming together is we brought a lot of different brands and products under one roof. We have Get Paid for Your Pad, which is the book, podcast, and blog. Then we have Short-Term Rental Profit Academy, which is the how to get started on Airbnb. And then we have Legends. And then we have a bunch of other things in there, the Airbnb Profit Club and, all these things. So we recognize that this is confusing as hell for a lot of people trying to follow what we're doing. And we needed to create something that explains who we are as a company, what our mission is, what we're trying to achieve in this industry. So we created Overnight Success, which is our umbrella company that has all our brands under one roof. Overnight Success is a online educational events company, and we're really focused on helping entrepreneurs from around the world building the businesses of their dreams through the hospitality industry. Right. So whatever scale that is, we work with pretty much anybody from the beginner all the way up to the biggest brands in our space. So we just launched that on Monday. Yeah, yesterday. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about today. And it real quick, I'm not a computer dude, but y'all chose overnightsuccess.io. Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for people who don't understand too much about what is that IO?
Yeah. Good question. IO is a tech, more of a tech URL. It stands for input output. So you'll see more tech companies like NoiseAware, right, using .io, right? So you'll see more tech companies using that. I personally like it because it technically stands for in and out, right? Which is the whole name Overnight Success. It's not when you hear Overnight Success, you think of how most people use it, like he or she became an overnight success, right? Mm. We believe with our company that we're training the hospitality companies of the future to develop successful short-term rental experiences for their guests one night at a time, right? So we're focused on being successful one night at a time, and really kind of focusing on the daily, the daily guests. So all of it is just overnight success in and out. There's really not too much more to the .io. Plus, we're still negotiating the .com with whoever owns that one.
A couple 100,000 and it's yours.
Yeah, that's a whole nother business within itself, selling URLs.
Yeah, big time. It's real estate, right? Real estate on the web.
Oh,
I see. Go ahead, Myka.
Oh, so you're still operating outside of the education. Are you still operating the space in the short-term rental space?
No, so we got out of here in San Diego. We got out of the property management business. So we switched from master leasing to property management on all of our listings. We got out of that about 6 months prior to COVID hitting.
Ooh.
So yeah, because I saw a lot of writing on the wall here in San Diego. My business partner at the time wanted to continue to scale the management side and the master leasing side here in San Diego. I didn't agree with that here. So we're still really good friends today, and he's part of my mastermind. He's buying hotels now, all of that. So he took over the property side. I went 100% into the educational space with Jasper, and building this new model that I wanted to get back into acquiring land and controlling the asset myself versus managing other people's properties. So it just wasn't, we got to a scale where I recognized that and this is pre-COVID, to compete with the bigger brands in San Diego and the markets that we wanted to go into, we had to get to a certain level of scale that I just personally did not want to get to with that model. So that's why I exited that space on the management side, and really just kind of took our time to build this new model that we're launching in Q2.
So on the management side, are you referring to you guys were co-hosting, right?
Yeah. Awesome. Essentially, we had revenue share with real estate investors around San Diego.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. I have a big question. Big question of the day. And warning to all you soccer moms out there. Why the fuck is branding so important?
That's a hell of a question, man. That's a hell of a question. Well, I mean, listen, I said it today on the call earlier, is like, we watched our industry just explode over the last handful of years because it became so easy for anybody to take a property, list it on Airbnb, and start making money, right? Like there was this massive travel boom, and it was just easy to make money on Airbnb. And it didn't require identity. It didn't require standards. It didn't require, you to act as a business owner. It really just took some innovation, and it took some action towards taking a property and putting it on Airbnb and making some money. The day we call this listing it and forgetting it. So list it and forget it. Those days, in my opinion, are completely gone. I think now what the guest is looking for, the traveler is looking for, is a handful of things. They want to identify with the guest or the host or the company that they're going to stay with. They want to know that you are, one, taking care of the property, that the property is clean, right? Obviously, we're in COVID era. That's what's going through everyone's mind, right? Two is that you are going to be there to support them through their stay, right? Like we spent so many years trying to automate the hell out of this business to where we had zero interaction with the guest. And, that's what Airbnb, that's what attracted me to this business. But now I think we evolved as an industry from that to where the guest is really looking to connect with the host, really looking to connect with the home and the community, all of that, because it's a bit of a different stay now. They're tending to be longer stays. They're working from home. Their families are there, right? Or they're staying in areas to be closer to family. Mm-hmm. So it's a different psychology now for the reason people are staying. So I truly believe, and this is been a year of working with the top brands from around the world, watching these companies go from almost bankruptcy to now thriving in their markets. Is we all focused over 2020. We all focused on those three, what I call VOS: vision, operations, and scale. And that's all the brand and identity of who you are as a host, regardless of size, regardless if you're running 1, 2, 3, or 300, doesn't matter. The principles are all there. So we need those identity. We need an identity for guests to connect with nowadays. That's why we're seeing a lot of these brands too, like Getaway, who's not on Airbnb, but Getaway, who rents out cabins in the woods, essentially outside major cities. They're blowing up. They just raised like $47 million. They're running at like 90-something% occupancy, apparently, across all their properties. And it's because their travelers, they know who they're marketing to. They know who they're servicing. They know how they're servicing them. So when the guest comes across their property, they're like, hey, they're talking to me, so let's go book this property, versus opening up Airbnb and seeing a million different listings in the same buildings, and it's like the same IKEA stuff, and there's no identity. You don't know who's behind it. It's like, hey, I'd much rather spend a couple extra bucks to stay at this place because, Kevin and Mary seem like really awesome people that really care about their listings. Or, Live, Let, Thrive stays look like they really care about what they're doing here, right? And I can identify with who they are. Right. So to me, that's why this is so important. I mean, we can go into the rabbit holes behind it, but I think there's been a massive shift in the guest stays. And that's really where we, in my company, that's where we want to have an impact with hosts from around the world, is really encouraging and developing hospitality brands versus hosts in this space.
I absolutely agree and love everything you just said. And let's go into that rabbit hole, because I love talking about branding. How would a company or an Airbnb, let's say, how would an Airbnb host go about branding himself?
Yeah. I think the most important step. So this is something that we're launching in our new program, our Legends X Accelerator program. We've focused on how do we build successful hospitality brands that can scale to whatever level they want to get to. And the very first spot of doing that, the very first step, is vision, right? So again, I mentioned VOS. That's kind of like what we focused on when we're building our brands, is vision, operations, scale. So the very first step behind building a brand is understanding, first of all, what are we building here? What business are we in? You ask most hosts that, especially if they have multiple listings, they don't know what business they're in. They own a couple of properties. They manage a couple of properties. They lease a couple of properties. They're pissed off that the guest is asking for extra blankets and pillows. They don't recognize that they're in the hospitality business, right? And it's like, we got to start with this, that we have to understand, what are we building? Where are we leading? And through that is, who are we servicing and how are we servicing them, right? Mm-hmm. So we're launching in Q2. Your audience is probably confused as hell because I just mentioned like 100 different projects that I'm working on here. We're launching our property business brand in Q2, and without giving out too much ahead of time, starting point and how we came up with the name, how we came up with the locations, the types of properties we're going to build, all of that all stemmed around who we wanted to service. We wanted to create a world-class experience for young couples and groups of friends that travel and leave the city and go into these markets and disconnect and reconnect with nature and reconnect with their family, right? So everything, my brand now revolves around solving that problem. I'm talking to just those people. Now, doesn't mean that I'm not servicing anybody else that doesn't fit that avatar, but that's who we're servicing. So it's like all my messaging, everything talks to them. So, I think that the first step behind developing a brand in this space is really understanding who you are, who you're seeing, and how you're going to service them. And then everything revolves around that.
You know that you brought up the word avatar, and that's like it's a popular word right now in the STR community, and it takes me way back to the early episodes of Get Paid for Your Pad. It's the reason it inspired us to start our show, and 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 Jasper mentioned it because he had his rental he had his flat, whatever they call it over there in Europe, his condo in Amsterdam, and he started getting a lot of partiers, smokers, partiers, and all this stuff. But then he started to kind of like change it and to attract a certain like just couples, like a couples escape. I think he mentioned that in the early shows, and he said, and it just took off from there. He started getting better guests, and it was a husband and wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and he was attracting. He made it where he was attracting mostly those guests, and now we call that creating your avatar, right, or choosing who you want to stay at your place. I think it's really ingenious, and very important, because people don't know. Whoever books it, no stars, 5 stars, can rent my place. But that is that is crucial, especially preventing burnout from this industry, from getting, bad guest after bad guest, and not just trying to tailor your place to a certain type of guest, your avatar.
Super important, man. You have to understand who's staying at your properties, right? It's like every business has a certain type of customer that they're going after, right? And all their messaging, all their services are going after them. And again, this doesn't mean that we're shutting out anybody that doesn't fit that space, but we need to understand who we're talking to and what do they truly want? What are their concerns? What's going to make this a 7-star, a 10-star experience for them? Right? Most hosts, again, just list it and forget it and just beg to get more occupancy, but they don't know who they're talking to or servicing, right? So it's like, even if you have urban properties, if you have country properties, lake homes, it doesn't matter. We all have avatars that we're going after. And that's the start of our brand, is to talk to those people, right? And serve those people. We talk about this all the time in all of our courses, all of our events. That's the number one place that we got to start, because from there, then we can scale correctly.
Correct.
Nice.
I love that. Yeah, you gotta, and also you have to. What also I'd like to notice is you have to provide the value for that avatar. Value is the biggest thing. It's really a big thing, because that's going to provide you with the type of avatar you want. And like you keep saying, people list it and forget it. That business model is dying right now. And I think Airbnb kind of employs that model, because it's. I think me and Steve talked about it last week. It's the easiest barrier to entry. Everybody just has a smartphone. Take up a couple pictures. You're an Airbnb host.
It's insane. You don't have to own property. You don't even have to lease a property. It's like, hey, find somebody who owns a property, convince them to allow you to put it on Airbnb, and you're in business, right? And yes, that's what attracts us to this industry. But again, and plus, like we've been in this for a handful of years now, right? So it's like we see the stages, and we know what works, we know what doesn't work, and I think what works now is brands and understanding who we're going after. And again, I don't care if you have 1 or 100 units, it's all the same stuff. It's all the same ingredients in this gumbo, it's all the same stuff.
And you kind of touched on it earlier, and this is what I've been seeing, especially lately, right? Because I'm on all the Facebook pages and the forums or whatever the hell, and even Clubhouses too. I'm not as big in Clubhouse as Myka. Yeah. Myka loves it. And Clubhouse is cool, but here's what I'm hearing, because I'll see questions arise. Oh, this guest asked for this, or this guest expected this, and I told them, hell, kind of like, hell no, you're not gonna, kind of like, how dare they ask for something? And people, I guess, yeah, just like tell them no. Okay, they want to cancel because of this. Hell no, tell them the cancellation. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I think a lot of it comes from being burned by Airbnb so many times, siding with the guests so many times, and these hosts are fed up with that, and they're just so defensive, and they treat even not actually bad guests as bad guests, because they're just so defensive
and emotional, right? It's all emotion, right? And we can't make decisions as business owners from emotion, right? Like we have to take a step back and say, like, hey, where is the real problem here? It's either you're booking the wrong guests for not having avatar, underpricing your property, just letting anybody in and not qualifying your listings, not setting your house rules and really setting the standard, or you don't have your business in a place where you understand where the real challenges are coming from. Because if someone keeps asking for the same stuff, you keep running into the, like our private clients, we bring on a handful of private clients a year. We're coaching them on scaling their business. It's always the same challenges. It's always cleaning issues. It's always customer service issues, right? It's always homeowner management issues, right? And it's like, how dare this owner ask me for more information on the bookings this month? It's like, well, do you have a owner communication process in place, or are you just giving them your cell phone and allowing them to text you anytime and getting pissed off that they're calling you in the middle of the night, right? It's like, we have to approach this as real business owners because it's a real business, and we have to understand, first of all, what business we're in, and we're in the hospitality industry first, right? So it's like, hey, if guest needs more pillows and they're asking to cancel, you're in the hospitality business. You got to deal with that. But then you got to step in as a CEO and build some systems to prevent these issues from happening in the future.
Something that really hit hard today when you were talking about the different levels of STR hosts. And I'd like you to dig into that, level 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. And explain what those different levels are and how it's possible to jump levels.
You got the sneak peek of that. That's the first time that we ever mentioned our stages of hosts. And, I appreciate you bringing that up. We recognize that hosts and operators, CEOs, everyone again is running into the same problems and same challenges. And as I've grown my companies throughout the years, there's always different levels in our business that we're unlocking, right? Like I remember the first time I can think of just making 6 figures, right? Like if I just make 6 figures, I've made it, right? And then it's like, oh, if I can make $500,000, I made it. Oh, if I can make $1 million, I made it. Oh, if I can make $5 million, I made it. And I started recognizing, I'm like, oh, there's levels to businesses, right? And the levels never stop. Right? There's always there. But as you start growing your businesses, you start unlocking different levels and you start experiencing different challenges and different rewards as you go through that. Right. And what was crazy was, I started my business right around the same time my buddy Jack started his company. He has a natural soap for men. And we were living together in San Diego, and we started these businesses right around the same time. I remember when he tapped the $1 million mark in revenue. I'm like, wow, Jack made it. This is insane. He's a millionaire, all this stuff. I had no idea what making $1 million in a business really meant. Just a month ago, he just cracked $100 million in revenue in his business. Crazy. He's going to sell this company in this year for hundreds of millions, right? So I started recognizing, okay, every business has there's different levels to our business, but I started realizing, I'm like, our industry, the short-term rental industry, there's no stages. We don't understand where in the game we're at, right? We don't understand, like we think, oh, just because we have more listings, we're a successful company, or just because this person has more listings, they're more successful than me, right? So I wanted to break that stuff down because I got sick of explaining this to our industry, to our students. It's like, it doesn't matter if you have 25 units, you could be highly more profitable and more successful than the person down the block that has 200 units and has no idea what operations, profit, systems, and they're just scaling. More units doesn't mean more success, right? So I wanted to create a stage here to help people understand where you're at in your business and what you have to do to be a successful hospitality company. So we developed 5 stages, or we recognized 5 stages, and I'll go through them quick. One is the side hustle host, right? Side hustle host. We know those people. They look at Airbnb, they saw a YouTube video, and they leased the property, put it up on Airbnb, and they're making money. but they're attracted to any shiny object. Things get challenging, they jump to the next side hustle, right? They don't care about the industry. They don't care about the guests. They're just trying to make money, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just who they are, right? And that's what they're focused on. Then we have the traditional host. Traditional host is what Airbnb has created, right? That's what they have in mind, right? You have somebody who's renting out their bedroom, their extra bedroom, or renting out their house when they're on vacation, or they have one listing and that's all they want. They're obsessed with it. Their identity is the listing. And that's all they're focused on. There's no systems. There's no real vision other than I'm going to create an incredible experience for the people coming to my home because I love people and I love creating these experiences. Traditional host. Now, what we recognize is those traditional hosts eventually, if they choose to, become a full-time host, right? A professional host. We call these hosts, and this is level 3, the hectic host, right? The hectic host is someone who believes that they have a business. They're hosting full-time. They have multiple listings. They're making money, but they have no real systems. They have no real vision, and they have no real scale to their business, right? They're running around. They're dealing with every cleaning issue, every customer service issue. They're pissed off that a guest is unsatisfied with their stay, and it's the guest problem instead of theirs. These are the hectic hosts, right? And this is where most of the people that probably, and this is not a bad stage to be in, right? That everyone goes through this stage. Where the challenge comes from is if you stay in that stage, right? If you don't make that, if you don't take the steps to level up from there, right? So most people that are probably listening to this and most of the students that come to us are in that stage, that third level, the hectic host. What we love to do is help people get from that level 3 to level 4 and 5. And level 4 is the rising star. We like to call them the rising star. These are the hosts, the companies that have a brand, they have a vision, they just started working on their systems, they just started hiring their team. They have some traction to their business. They're starting to become a business, right? And if they continue cracking away at entrepreneurship and stepping into their CEO role, they're going to end up being what we like to call stage 5 is the legend status. So legends, right? Which is on our shirt, right? STR legends. We've worked with hundreds of these companies around the world. These companies have their vision, and everything I talk about is always VOS, vision, operations, and scale. They know what's profitable. They know their avatar. They have their teams. They focus on their systems. They know what their is. They understand their business. Plus, the individual, the host, is actually the CEO. This person is running the business, right? They have more freedom within their company to make decisions. They're doing the things that they actually want to do versus the things that they don't want to do, like the hectic host, who's always dealing with putting out these fires all the time, right? So, and that was a long rant, but those are the stages that we believe in, that I'm like, okay, yeah, then you have your VC-backed companies that are the unicorns in our space that I don't like to focus on because they're rare and they're very vulnerable and at any point can be out of business like all the other companies out there. So these stages, anybody who's listening to this, it's like to identify where you're at, then we want to focus on what do we got to put into place in those 3 sections of vision, operation, and scale to be able to unlock the next level, right? And once we unlock that next level, we have more choices, we have more time, more freedom, and more money.
Awesome, man. I love that third stage. That's where most people are. You're right.
Yeah.
And before I got on this call, I was talking to my 2 partners, and we were kind of talking. We didn't name it that stage, but we were like, I said it's almost like 2 choices to the arbitrage business. This goes back to what you were just saying with people with all these units and people with small amount of units. I said there's almost 2 choices when you arbitrage. You can scale really fast and decrease your profit, or you can scale slow and increase your profit. And 100%. I think, and I think that's what it's running into, because like right now, people are just throwing these 1-bedroom, 1-baths on Airbnb, making what, $500 a month minimum, and it's no, like you said, there's no avatar. They're just letting anyone in. And that's awesome, man. I need to definitely look further into you guys' program. I love how you broke that down. That's what you just said is a vision. You guys broke it down into step by step. I love that, man.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we put a lot of time and effort into that, and we're still dialing it in. And, that's the beauty. You asked me earlier why I moved into the educational space, and it's the discovery of this, right? It's like, yes, I can discover this by growing my own business, but I'm only keeping that in for me and my team, right? And it's like, this is something that we've developed for our students and our clients, but we're implementing all of this stuff into our property business that we're launching, right? And we manage a couple other properties internationally, and we do that as well to our business. So it's like, not only are we implementing this in our business and we get to reap the rewards of it, but then, being able to share that with the industry and see people actually put that to work. It's like, hey, this is what the industry needs. We got to move forward on our vision. We got to really start growing hospitality industry businesses. And to understand that, to do that, we have to understand where we're at in our business. So yeah. If anyone who's identifies with that third section of hectic coast, that's where most people are at. It's a little bit of time, patience, and then just a lot of focusing on your vision, your operation, and your scale. And we can go on for that forever.
So you even mentioned it with y'all's business, with Overnight Success it's called now, and how you're the CEO, but before y'all started separating into, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, everybody was wearing different hats, right? Everybody was wearing all kinds of different hats and doing different things, and it was like not a lot of structure. How did you finally get into that CEO role and become the CEO, and what has helped you become that?
Dude, great question, man. So one is surrounding myself with the best people I can possibly find. I just mentioned my buddy Jack, who is running a multi-million dollar company, but he's not an outlier in my group. Like, I've surrounded myself with some of the smartest CEOs and business owners from all different industries, right? To learn. Tony Robbins talks about success leaves clues, right? And it's like, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm following what other people are doing, and I'm making it unique to me and my brand and my vision and my purpose. But everything that I'm doing, my system, like everything that I'm talking about here, is lessons I've learned from the people I surround myself with, the books, I see your bookshelf there, the books that I'm consuming on a daily basis, right? So I think the first step is really asking yourself who you surround yourself with and who can you learn from? Who do you seek knowledge from? That's the first step for me. The second was then reading and implementing all the information that these successful individuals around me were implementing, right? So one of my favorite books, I just posted this on Instagram today. One of my favorite books that I highly recommend everybody read if you're running any type of business is called Traction by Gino Wickman. You're smiling. Have you read it?
No, my partner just finished it at my house while we were snowed in. He was reading it. That's on my book list.
Yeah. It's a game changer. I read that once a year. I've read it 5 times, so multiple times, because I just started reading that about 3 years ago. So I've read it probably about 5 times already. Traction is incredible. Like, that puts you in a mindset of understanding systems and really implementing how to identify your bottlenecks in your business, and then building systems and encouraging the right people in the right seats to run those systems for you. So it's to answer your question, so I don't get lost in this, is, again, surrounding yourself with the right people to learn how other CEOs are running their businesses. 2 is really stepping into that mindset. It's a mindset and a belief system to step in as a CEO. A CEO doesn't wear all the hats. The CEO figures out where the problems are, where steers the ship, figures out where the problems are, and then encourages their team to and supports their team to solve those problems, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just something, like, I love leadership. I love surrounding myself with incredible people. I truly feel like I'm the dumbest person in the room, every room that I walk into. And I love that because I always want to learn, and I want to take those lessons and pass it on to my team. So, yeah, I don't know if this is answering your question, but that's a lot of nuggets there that I'm just like really supported me to step into that CEO role. So yeah, buy traction, surround yourself with good people, and make the decision.
One gem I want to say that you really, really heavily drop, man, is you said the books that you surround yourself with and the people. Man, I will say this. I started last year. I just went real heavy on my reading, man, and it's crazy how much success came my way just from what I was instilling into myself, man. That is
100%.
That's a deep gem, man. Anyone listening, man, I'm telling you, if you read every morning, just for like, I don't care if you read 10 pages a day, what manifests in your life it's crazy. It's crazy.
I agree. Podcasts, books, like my girlfriend and I, we read every morning for 15 to 30 minutes, and we read every night for 30 to 60 minutes. Right. And it's like, we've disconnected from all the things that are mass distractions, right? Social media. The reason why I haven't jumped on Clubhouse, and I get the messages and everybody, the invites and all these parties, 24-hour parties and all this stuff. It's like the reason I'm not jumping in there, even though it's very, very educational and incredible network, is because I know I'll get lost in it. And I'm in this rhythm of like, hey man, we got such a massive vision with our companies that scares the shit out of me. Excuse my language. Scares the hell out of me. I need to understand how other people have done this before. And the only way I'm going to do that is by having conversations with them and listening and reading, right? Their words.
I'm so happy you brought that up because I haven't been on Clubhouse in a week and a half, 2 weeks, because I had to put it down, man. I was like, it was – I think Kyle Stanley, he has his own podcast. His own YouTube show. He had him on the show. He's like, man, they should have called this shit Crack House, man. You're addicted to it. No,
yeah,
I know. I'm like, I literally had to put it down. So yeah, man. And I've been getting a lot more accomplished. So I definitely feel you on that. That's true.
Yeah.
So
mass
one
distractions.
One thing that really stood out. A lot of things stood out today in that short period of time that I was able to listen in on y'all's big announcement, big meeting today. I was at work, so I couldn't get all of it. But you mentioned a statistic. You mentioned like people that take courses and classes or whatever. Only 4% actually implement anything from these courses and classes. And I was like, wow. I mean, I knew it was low, but I was like 4%. That's insane. And so, and before we get to how y'all are trying to flip that, hopefully flip it to 96%. Could you, and you were talking about, books and, things that you're reading and that are helping you become CEO. What, can you name any specific thing that you've read or you've studied or found somewhere that you actually went out, implemented it, and it like changed, and it really was a game changer?
Oh, dude, how much time do we got?
We got all day.
Man. So one of the, so a couple of things there. Yeah, that stat, and let's get back to that stat, because that thing that's me off, the 4%. Like that's one of our KPI of our, like, part of our mission is to crush for our students is how do we get you to actually go through this and implement it into your business? It literally just comes down to action at the end of the day, right? It's like, we know what we got to do to lose weight or get in the shape that we want to get into. We know it, but what stops us, it's literally the action that we're taking. We're choosing to sit on the couch or drink beer or do whatever versus going to Muay Thai class, which I'm leaving here in a few minutes to go to Muay Thai, which I don't want to do because I'm exhausted. But for me to get to this place that I want to go to, I have to go, right? I made that decision. So I want to get back to that because that's something that really drives me crazy. But things that, that I've implemented in my business that really, has impacted us, especially in 2020, I would say this. One is building the discipline to take action. So discipline is everything. If you are lacking discipline in your life, I would highly recommend reading the book Extreme Ownership. That book changed my life. I would listen to it as well. Jocko does an incredible job at reading that, his book. But that book, Extreme Ownership, built discipline into me, and it impacted me so much that it's actually a core value of our company. So one of our core values is extreme ownership. So that's one thing, is building the discipline and owning your work, owning, your journey of where you're heading in, and the words that you're saying that you want to achieve, and just going out and taking action on it. Right. So extreme ownership, another thing that we're implementing, man, there's so much coming to me. So one is, if you guys haven't read the book, Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. There's a new book, came out mid 2020. I just read his Twitter a couple of days ago. He just broke like 2.5 million sales, which is incredible to watch this. This book, in my opinion, is going to go down in history as one of the greatest books, like Think and Grow Rich and Rich Dad Poor Dad. Changed my life on how I look at money and feel about money. Right. So this is just to end on this point. This is something that I think, you guys, your listeners, everybody can really take an actionable step from, is really evaluating, how do you actually feel about money in your business or money in general? We never think about that. See, I'm saying think, we got to feel it, right? Which is, as a guy from New Jersey, I don't have a lot of feelings. I'm stepping into this feeling thing. I've always focused on tactics. How do I make more money? Right. But I never focused on what is my feelings around acquiring money and keeping money? What are my belief systems around this? So this book really opened up my eyes to that. And by reading that book, by implementing what he talked about in those stories, it truly impacted my personal wealth, and it truly impacted our business wealth. 2020 was one of the greatest years we've ever had in business, which was incredible. 2021 is going to blow 2020 out of the water, which is insane. So on and so forth. And it's all there's a trickle down effect that's going to impact my personal wealth as well. So another rant there, but I would say two major things that you guys can implement right away is discipline through extreme ownership by Jocko Willink, and then understanding how you think around money by reading Psychology.
Nice.
Man, I love that you bring a book to back it up every time, man. I love that, because one book that helped me like kind of change. I haven't read The Psychology of Money, but I just wrote it down on my book list. One book that helped me change was actually Cash Flow Quadrant. The first few pages, he actually talked about the energy that money brings you, and you have to learn how to change and control that energy. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, and I never thought about it, but yeah, man, that's man. I got to come hang out with you on the,
hey man, come on out, man. Come on out.
Definitely.
That's a great book. I haven't read that in years, so I'm going to dive back into that one.
I know you got to get to Muay Thai, but real quick, how are you going to flip that 4% of people, getting your students to apply anything, to flip it to 96% or 100%?
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever have 100%. That's a great, KPI to go after, and a mission to go after. But this is what we've done. We've recognized, and I talked about this earlier today on the call that we were on, that we've created this incredible product for the beginners, people that want to get started through the Short-Term Rental Profit Academy. And through that, we can see how many hours of video you're watching. Are you actually going through the tests? Are you taking action? All that stuff. Excuse me. And that's where we came up with that stat. We're like, holy crap, like our numbers on that is much higher. But after, researching the educational space, the online educational space, on average, people who purchase an online course and go through the course and actually take action is right around 4%, which blows my mind. Right. And those numbers drop even more when you're listening to a podcast or watching something on YouTube. People think that they could just watch a video on YouTube and they can build a short-term rental business, right? It's very, very few people can actually do that. And if they're doing that, they're taking action in so many different ways, right? So what we've done, and this is actually the first time we're announcing this, we're launching a 90-day business accelerator called Legends X. It's a 90-day accelerator where we're focused on making sure you take action, that you're taking in world-class content, but then actually taking action in your business. And we've set up accountability matrix through the entire way. So this 90-day accelerator, Legends X, is designed to bring people through those stages to get you to those level 4s and 5s. So rising star and to a legend status, right? The way that we do this is we've gotten really good at creating amazing content that cuts right down to cuts out all the BS and gets right down to the value, right? We now back it up. We've partnered with this company that is gamifying the course experience. So just like how Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and Clubhouse is so addicting because you have all these rewards, you're connecting with people, you can see their journeys, all this stuff, you can share your journey with them. We're gamifying the entire course experience. So we're time releasing content. We're putting you in a accountability pod with 5 other students that are going through the content at the same pace you are. No one's going to be ahead of you. No one's going to be behind you. And then we match it up. We align you with a coach who has built and ran a 7-figure short-term rental business. And you're meeting on a weekly basis to get through it. We can see exactly how much content you're going through. We have homework, we have accountability calls, we have coaches, and you have an accountability pod. The moment that you don't watch something, you're getting a message from us. You're hearing from your coach, you're hearing from our staff. We're holding you to your mission, your purpose of why you invested in this. Our goal is to get that 4% as close to 100% as possible and start building world-class hospitality brands. And the only way for us to do that and to support, people to do that is holding them to their words and really injecting that extreme ownership into this experience. So it's something that I've actually never seen before. We've been looking for different products to see someone who's done this. Haven't seen anybody bring all these elements together. And there's literally nothing like this in our industry. So we launched that in April, which I'm super excited about. We have Julie George as one of our main coach. We have a couple other legends that run 7-figure short-term rental businesses that are jumping on board. Jasper is going to be coaching. So we're pumped. We're excited. And the best part about this too is it's not open for the masses. We only bring in 50 companies. So we're bringing in 50 hosts and that's it, right? So we focus on those companies for 90 days and then support them to go from host to a hospitality brand within that space. So hopefully within that time, we can get those numbers up from 4 to 90 plus.
Okay. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to work. That's 100% will work. As long as people are held accountable, that'll work, man. And congratulations to you guys for doing that. That's dope.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I mean, I know you're going to get to Muay Thai. We have 1,000. We need to do a second episode with you, man. We need to do another episode with you.
This is fun.
But this has been a mind-blowing episode. We appreciate you coming on. You and Jasper are doing some amazing things out there. And Julie George is on your team now. God, dog. I mean, she's amazing. She came on our show. We just sat back and let her, man, do her thing, man. She's unreal. She's a beast. She knows how to accelerate. Speaking of accelerate, she knows how to accelerate things. So she's going to really accelerate y'all's business for sure.
Yeah. And she fits right in. She has a vision. She's a visionary. That's what I love about her.
Exactly. And there's no BS with her. It's like, let's get to work. We know what we're doing. Let's get to work. There's no BS, fear, nothing like that. So, but yeah, guys, I appreciate you, inviting me on. I've been watching you guys for a while and, it's a pleasure to be here. And I would love to do a second show. We'll get you guys on, get paid for your pad as well. Yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind, me making a shameless plug here, we're doing a 2-day live event coming up March 18th and 19th, where I go over this entire thing, just everything I just spoke about, and that's when we officially announce Legends X to the public. So for anybody who's interested and would love for you guys to attend as well, it's a virtual event, so just go to strlegends.com/register, and you guys can get set up. So appreciate that, and I appreciate your support and allowing me on this show.
And they can find everything at overnightsuccess.io also, right?
That's right. Yep.
Cool.
Yes, sir. Let's go, man. Thank you for coming on, man. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome, man. Thank you for having me.
Can I call you Emo? That's
right. I dig it.
All right, man. Thanks for hopping.
All right, Jess. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right, man. That was Eric Moeller from Overnight Success. He is a Airbnb co-host, property management master. Man, that was an honor. I love talking about books and how things change you, man. That was a dope podcast. I loved it.
It's knowledge, man. Psychology of Money. That's the one I circled. I was writing them all down, but that one really stands out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because I got a book list about 200, and I definitely added that one on there.
And it makes me think of a quote that Kiyosaki said one time, that the most addictive drug on the planet is a paycheck. And that's all about psychology of money. People are afraid to I can't leave that because they get that drug every Friday or every 2 Fridays. They get that drug. It all goes out the window and government takes half of it, but whatever. Once you start changing that psychology, man, that's when you really start growing your money and growing your business and growing whatever, man. I'm going to get that book for sure.
Definitely. It's definitely on my list, man. But yeah, man, that waking up every morning and reading, that's a tough one, dude. You're a lot of shit manifests in your life when you do that.
Yeah.
Man, we're cussing like it's a Friday episode.
Yeah. Find us at liveletthrive.com, liveletthrive@gmail.com. On the IG, all the IGs and Facebooks and all that stuff. But besides that, go out and start reading today, y'all. Go out and start reading, start learning, and start implementing what you're learning, And
big facts.
And go check out those guys, overnightsuccess.io. They're badasses.
Check them out. And yeah, man. Also, man, I ain't been on Clubhouse in a while. I've been on a hiatus, but I'll probably be back on there in a couple weeks. But I'm definitely limiting my time. It's definitely addictive, but I had to limit my time. So the people asking where I'm at, I have not been on.
I know Julie George be posted. I've been on for 24 hours straight. Oh my God.
Yeah, they got a 24-hour room about to pop off, man. I was like, shit. I did the first one, but the second one, I can't do it, man. But I'll be popping in every now and then. But yeah, continue to join the club. We've got over, I think, 1,000 something members in the LLT club. So continue to join that. And thank y'all for joining. And if you need a Clubhouse invite, hit me up. I still got a couple. I already sent, I think, our guy Brett one. So he's on. So yeah, definitely link up with us.
Awesome.
And we are
living,
out.
Letting and thriving, y'all.
Let's go.
Later.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.